Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If this is the first time you're seeing one of my videos, hi, my name is Carrie. I like to play with a lot of new makeup and tonight is no exception. So it's a little bit later in the day if you can kind of see behind me through the curtains, but I needed to sit down and just like play with some makeup because I've got all this new stuff that I've hauled for the Sephora VIP sale. I want to play with that. There's a lot of other stuff that I've hauled. It's just sitting here kind of like not getting any attention. I love playing with new makeup. And I recently had a loss in my family, so I was buying a ton of makeup as like to distract me from everything that was going on. And I have mentioned that in some of my other videos, but there's a lot of stuff still sitting here that I haven't got to play with yet. So here I am with my wine, and this is actually really good. Like, I'm not a huge wine drinker. I was shopping with my daughter in the store, and we have like a grocery store in here in Florida called Publix. It's throughout like the southeastern United States, maybe even up north, I'm not sure. I just walked by the wine section, and so I saw this one that was like pineapple. I don't even know what it was called, but it's like so good. It's like the kind that you could just gulp because it tastes like a fruity drink. It's kind of dangerous. Let's do something about this hair because it's freshly washed and it's frizzy. It took 3,000 hours to try and dry it, and it was taking forever and I was giving up. So let's just get it out of the way. Okay, that's better. I think we're good. So I have a ton of new stuff that I've hauled. I don't know exactly what I want to go into, but I'm sure we'll have figured it out by the time you're seeing this video go up because you'll have seen some of the stuff in the thumbnail. One of the things I definitely want to try is the new Melt Cosmetics, like the Bad Zodiac palettes. I did place the order for 2 of these, not all 4, and I've never tried the Melt Cosmetics formula, so I want to give this a shot. I also realized that it is November and I am in a kind of spring tank top. I was taking a look in my closet of all the tops that I have. Everything was just boring me. Black, white, blue, black, white, blue. And I was like, ooh, pink. Okay, I'm gonna wear that. I haven't worn this tank top in forever. It's cute. It has like these little frills on it. Very spring, but whatever. That's what we're doing. So maybe we'll match it to the eye look. Maybe we won't. Who cares? All right, I have Clarins, like, I don't know, something moisturizer on my face, and it's very thick, so I don't want to add any extra primer. I'm just going to go straight into my foundation. I have 2 foundations, so I don't know which one I want to use. This is a video that went up, I believe yesterday or potentially the day before, where I hauled this in the Sephora VIP sale. This was the Iconic London Super Smoother Blurring Skin Tint, but the shade was atrocious. It was so dark, and this is actually a neutral light, and it was like way too deep. Then I have the Merit Stick Bronzer. I guess, why do I call it a bronzer? The stick foundation, and I also believe this is a concealer. So I think I'll stay safe and go with the Merit Stick, and because I don't have a new concealer that I want to try today, I think we'll use this as concealer as well. So it's the Merit Minimalist Perfecting Complexion Stick. This one is in the shade Silk, which I think online it was like light with neutral undertones or fair with neutral undertones. I can't remember. Here's the packaging. It's very, very sleek. It's like this matte packaging. And I know that this is like a smaller amount of product than what you would normally get in like a liquid. It's 0.23 ounces. The directions say, swipe onto skin where you want coverage and buff it out with a brush so you can't tell what's you and what's makeup. We'll see about that. When I hauled this, I said that I've had really bad luck with stick foundations in the past. They just seem cakey and like too heavy for my skin, and it always like emphasizes my dry patches. So I'm usually not a fan of them. I think that the only one that I had in my collection was the Hourglass one, and I ended up decluttering it. So I don't have any other stick foundations in my collection. But the reviews on this were so good that when it came out, like the reformulation of this, which is a new like launch of the reformulation, I saw it and I've enjoyed like the other Merit products that I have used. So when the sale came, I bought it anyway. All right, let's put this on my face. It says to swipe on, so I'm just gonna start swiping. I did mention that this felt like a much more like hydrating formula than what I'm used to with stick foundations. I'm gonna kind of try it and like do it as a concealer too, where I would normally apply it. I have no idea what I'm doing with this. I don't know what is enough with this or not enough. Oh, just to buff it in, huh? It's stiff. Like, it's so stiff. How am I supposed to? This is a kabuki brush, but it's a little bit fluffier than like some of the denser kabuki brushes, and I feel like I'm like really rubbing to get this in. I'm already not liking this. Like, what is happening here? Do I have to apply like one side of my face at a time? It's just not blending in nicely. I just went and grabbed my IT Cosmetics foundation brush because it's a little bit more dense than the other one that I was using, just to see if I can buff this in a little bit better, because I can see the lines that I drew. It's just not buffing in that easily. I take back what I said that it's like a creamier formula. I don't think it is. It was rough. Like, I was getting really rough with it. I need more. Like, that wasn't enough coverage. All right, I'm trying again. It says it's also a concealer, so that's how I'm gonna use it. All right, so my initial thoughts on this, they're not great. So it says it's the Minimalist is what it's called. And so I feel like it's a very, very light coverage. I get that. I get that that's what they were going for. I think the shade is a decent match to me. If you can see, it's like a pretty true match to my actual skin tone. However, I was working so hard to blend this in that it's just more work than I like. And it's such a minimal amount of coverage that it kind of feels like, okay, I worked really hard for a little bit of coverage. And that's kind of how I feel about it. But the finish is beautiful. It actually doesn't like even look like I have anything on because it's such a light amount of coverage. It's just a super lightweight formula. And so I can't really detect that I'm wearing anything. So for that reason, like, it's actually quite nice. Like, if you want something very light, but you're gonna be working pretty hard, I think, to kind of blend this in just to get kind of a little bit of coverage. You know, there are some foundations that you try it right away. You're like, meh, it just kind of works like the others. I don't really, you know, I don't really have a first impressions when I've just put it on. It's been sitting on my face for like a minute and a half, but I feel like I do with this one. I can just tell it's not as much coverage as I normally like because I don't know, I have a lot of imperfections. I have a lot of things going on my face. And so I do try and cover it up. And the amount of work I was putting into it is just, I don't know, not my speed, not how much I like to work. I don't love using a brush. I don't think that this is like a soft enough formula to use a sponge with. I don't think I'm gonna love this. And honestly, I don't think for a concealer, it's as much coverage as I like for sure. Like, it might be good for like the outer parts of my face or a light makeup, no makeup day, and I get that that's what they're going for. I don't think it can be used for a concealer if you're trying to really conceal your bags or your imperfections. So I do want to put on a liquid concealer. I'm gonna go in with my Glossier Stretch Concealer. This one is in the shade G11. I do really like this concealer, honestly. Like, a lot of the Glossier products, because I did a full face of Glossier many months ago, and I didn't really love a lot of the stuff that I hauled. There were some things that I really liked. I liked the base products mostly, but like, you know, the things that they're famous for, I just didn't love. Oh, right, I'm using the wrong finger. Their Brow Flick and their, what's the other one? Like, the Brow Flick is for the eyebrows, and then what is the other? Oh, the Boy Brow. I didn't like either of those products. And so I guess I wasn't a fan of the stuff that they're like really known for. I did really like the Cloud Paint. I guess that's another popular one. And I did enjoy the Stretch Concealer. So I'm just gonna tap that in. All right, I'm drinking some more. Seriously, this is like dangerous. It's like a fruity drink. I can't even tell that it's 5% alcohol. It is very beautiful close up though. Like, nothing looks cakey or patchy. It is what it says. Like, it's a very minimalist foundation stick. If you're into that, it's kind of nice. I just think you're gonna be working a little bit harder than maybe you normally would with a liquid foundation to get this to kind of blend into the skin. Let's go into setting powder. This is the HAUS Labs Bio Blurring Setting Powder. This one is in the shade Translucent. I did test this out like just very briefly in my haul video. Here's the packaging. Great reviews on this. I have mentioned before that I love the foundation. I think it's like a really natural finish foundation. It sits well on my skin. It wears well on my skin. And the setting powder had really, really good reviews. I always wait to buy setting powders until I see good reviews come out because my skin is so dry and really just finicky when it comes to powders. So I need something super light. And I actually had powder on, like when I first applied this, and I just put it over the other powder and it sat really nicely. Like, it didn't look cakey or extra heavy. I don't have a new brow product, so I'm gonna go in with the Sephora retractable brow pencil, and this one is in the shade Taupe. Okay, I want to move on into the eyeshadows because I have a ton of blushes and I just don't know what color I want to pick yet. So I want to create the eye look so I know which like blush color I'm going to choose. These are the Bad Side Zodiac palettes. This one is Earth and the other one that I have is Air. I only picked up the two from the 4 palette launch because I'd never tried the Melt Cosmetics eyeshadow formula before, and these 2 color stories appealed to me so much. Here's the one in Air. Isn't that gorgeous? Like you have 1 row of purples, 1 row of peaches, and they can create full eye looks on 1 single row, or you can blend them together. And by the way, the Air one is Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. I didn't buy the one that goes over my zodiac sign just because the color story didn't necessarily appeal to me as much as these 2 do. And here's the color story on the Earth one. This one is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. I love this. This is like a neutral row and a greeny yellow row. I thought these color stories were amazing. I'm not even sure I've ever created a yellow and green eye look before. I'm not even sure I've ever done like a full green eye look before. Do I want to do that? Do I want to incorporate some of the yellows? I definitely want to take 1 palette for 1 eye and the other palette for the other eye. And honestly, I think I do. Like, I think that's what we're doing today. So I'm going to take this yellow one right here and go all above like the crease. And by the way, these are all like shades they've named of the bad traits of the zodiac sign. So for the Earth one, they have a Heart of Stone, Way Harsh, Overcritical, Know-It-All, RBF, Materialistic, Type A, and Stubborn. I'll show you. Going into Way Harsh, go into like above my crease and kind of into this outer corner, and then just extend it out a little bit. I really want to go into this like greeny shade. I've never created a full green eye look ever. So if it turns out poorly, I guess I'll just apologize in advance. Don't watch me. So I kind of just want to like buff it out a little bit. And I want to go into this green shade that's called Heart of Stone. And I'm going to start building it like in the outer corner, but also like bringing it in a little bit. Go back into that like yellow shade and kind of go above the dark green Way Harsh shade that I applied. Just kind of like blend out the outer edges. All right, I'm gonna go into this Type A. It's a brown shade, but it's like, it's got a red base to it. It's almost like a little brick, like, I don't know, like almost a purple or like a red. It's hard to tell, but I want to take this and just like deepen up the outer corner. I'm gonna do like a better job blending than I normally do. I usually do a pretty poor job in like blending my shadows, but I definitely want to really just kind of blend this darker shade into the green. I want to take this Materialistic shade, which is like a brown metallic shimmer, and start like in the middle of my lid and then go in with this like yellow shade in the middle. I think it's going to be beautiful. Just packing that on in like the center. I really need to make sure that I close my eye when I do this so that I can get a little bit higher than I normally would above my lid and into my crease. So far, these shadows are blending super nicely together. Like, no issues. Aside from it, like the darker shades kind of transferring right here, there are no blending issues with these shadows. So I'm liking the formula, and I already like the shimmers. Easy to pick up on a dry brush, love that. Okay, ma'am, we are going into this yellow shimmer that's called Overcritical. I'm so excited. It is just so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. I'm going in the inner part of my lid and slightly above it. A little bit of fallout with this yellow shade. All right, next I'm gonna go into this Heart of Stone shade, this green one, and kind of blend the shimmers in together just a little bit better. And then finally, I'm gonna go back into that Type A, that dark brown shade, and just deepen up the outer corner one final time. So that is the look that I've created on this eye. I thought it was beautiful. I think these are great complementary shades. I think I could have even got like a more orange look with it. I'm super duper pleased. So let's move on into the other eye, the Air palette. I'm really excited. Okay, well, my husband just called me down for dinner, so I had to piece for a minute. Let's go into the Air palette now. I think I'm gonna go into this shade Ghosted and just go all above the crease with it. I actually gave in and bought a subscription to HelloFresh. Pretty powdery formula. We're so bad about like making dinners. Like we buy a lot of food. We have 2 kids and we spend a ton of money on food, but it just feels like it's a lot that's not actually going to like dinner food. My husband and I were not like great at coming up with recipes to make like really good like full family meals. We kind of just do the same things over and over again. I want to go into this darker shade here. This is Indecisive. Sorry, the shades here are Frivolous, Indecisive, Ghosted, Too Faced, Mind Games, Flaky, Chismosa, and Reckless. I'm hoping that this one like can still give me a little bit of depth because it's a very similar shade to the one that I just used. So I'm gonna try and just, I don't know, kind of keep it on the outer corner a little bit. So anyway, with the dinners, just not good at coming up with like unique meals that we don't just eat every single time. And so I finally pulled the trigger and I was like, I'm gonna look at like HelloFresh because I know there are a lot of sites out there that you can go to purchase like prepared meals, and HelloFresh just is one that like sticks in my mind as like, you know, pretty good service. And so I checked it out. I did like start an account. I did my first order for like 4 meals. I can't remember. I think it was like you only get the choice of 4 meals, or maybe that's just what I picked. I can't entirely remember. But anyway, like I ended up getting those 4 meals and being able to like customize them a little bit. And it was with the discount for signing up as a new customer, it was like $44.78. It was so cheap, but it was so inexpensive. And my husband's been cooking the meals and he's like, Carrie, I'm like, I fully approve this message. I'm like, okay, good. Like, I'm glad to see that you're on board. But everything we've been making is just so delicious. We've been really, really pleased. It's so crazy how much you can actually spend on your own when you're buying like full sizes of things. I'm gonna go into this like deeper purple shade called Mind Games and deepen up the outer corner because I'm just like finding a wash of color with this. So we have to like look up recipes to really like purchase what we need to make something that's out of the normal. Like, we're gonna make hamburgers for the kids, or hey, it's burrito night, or like spaghetti and meatballs, pork chops. Like it's always the same. And so when this ingredients came, we were like, wow, this is like really fresh food. Like we were really, really pleased with everything that we got. And I'm just crossing my fingers that they have like thousands of recipes so we can keep doing this, because honestly, I believe that it's way more cost effective than what we've been doing. We're definitely guilty of like the quick dinners and just ordering Uber Eats all the time, and it's just draining our money. Like it's crazy how much you look back and see what you spent in a month. Like one dinner for 4 people, depending upon where you eat, like after service fees and like delivery tip, can end up being like $100. Like $100 a night? I mean, we might as well just go and eat out at like some fancy restaurant and include the tip. Like it's just crazy how much you can spend without realizing. And the cost of food with inflation has gone up so significantly. Like nothing is cheap anymore. All right, I'm gonna go into this Too Faced shade and go into kind of like the middle part of my lid. By the way, this is not a like sponsored thing, and I'm not hoping that they reach out to me in any way. It's just something that I did to feed my family, and I kind of feel like, you know, it's been working out. Again, gonna just pack that on. They pick up on a dry brush so nicely. I'm never sure how to like angle my body so you can like see what I'm doing, but I definitely do want you to see like how I'm applying this, because it's always interesting and fun to me to like watch creators get really close with their eyeshadow. For the inner corner, I'm going to use the shade Frivolous. It's almost like a super shock. It's just super creamy. It's like fallen apart when I've swatched it. I can see it kind of like coming out of the pan a little bit. It's just a very, very soft shimmer shade. And I'm going to take that in my inner corner and just bring it above my crease a little bit. I'm gonna go back into that Ghosted shade, I think, and try and blend those shimmers together up here just a little bit. What do you guys do for dinner? Like, do you normally, are you like great chefs in the kitchen? I'm gonna take this shade again and then just deepen up the outer corner. Okay, so that is the second completed eye look with the Air palette. I love these palettes. I think they're really good. And I think you can get an everyday neutral look out of both of these. I think with the Air one, you can get this like peachy one. I think it's still good for, oh God, I got a little rough there. I think it's still good for like the office. I still think you can like, you know, pull it off in, you know, any kind of normal setting. You know, it doesn't have to be an overly glam look. And this one too, I think that it gives you this row at the bottom here that's really neutral that you can wear, you know, same thing in your everyday life without, you know, looking crazy going to the grocery store. So while I think you can get good pops of color, good eye looks, like, you know, glam eye looks if you wanted to, I still think that both of these, even though they're 8-pan palettes a piece, individually, I still think they give you that neutral look if that's something that you're looking for. And trust me, I don't play with colorful shadows like this when I wake up in the morning and it's a Monday and I'm going to work. But it is fun to like sit down and play with a little bit of color sometimes when, you know, you're just feeling like you need to. So this is the Sun Flush All Over Tint. This is a new brand that moved into Sephora, but these are also new launches for them. These were made in Italy. This has an 18-month shelf life. That's about it. So they're like little stacked marshmallows. It twists off. It has a doe foot applicator, which isn't my favorite when applying blushes. And this is like a serum-like finish, which is actually not my favorite. I didn't realize it was a serum-like finish before I purchased it. I'm terrible at like reading the directions on these before I buy them. But I have swatched this in my haul video yesterday and I thought it had a pretty good base to it. Like, it's a pretty good tint for like a serum-like blush. And it doesn't seem like it would take a lot of work to blend in. So I don't know, I think we use that one today just because it is a new release and I have one other Simihaze product that I definitely want to try today, their mascara. So now that I've decided on the blush, let's go into a new bronzer. This is a cream bronzer. This is from Lower East Side. It's new to me, but it's not new to the market so far as I know. It's like my boxy charm for the month of November, so I just got this, but I love cream bronzers, so let's do it. Nothing fancy about the packaging, and I'm hoping this is a good shade. This is in Skyscraper, and I think it was a pretty, like, I don't know. It has a warmth to it, but I think this looks like it's probably their lightest shade. This looks like a really, really warm bronzer. I'll go in with a pretty light hand. I'm just gonna use a sponge, and I think I'll just kind of like do one dab into the product and then back out. Like, that's it. That's probably pretty good. It has a warmth to it. But I actually think that if you go in with a light hand, it's actually kind of nice. And if you're going in with a more orange blush, it's, you know, you put your blush here, you put your bronzer here, a lot of it will mesh well together if you have a bronzer with a little bit of warmth, since the blush color is peach. Nothing is like lifting anything underneath. A lot of my bronzer is that when I apply it with a sponge, it actually lifts like a lot of the foundation right around my forehead. I noticed that. And like, I don't know if that's the bronzer necessarily or the fact that I'm using a pretty dense sponge, but I'm not getting anything like that with this. I think that's good. Like, I like the bronzer. I thought it was nice and I don't think it was too warm. I have been accused of like enjoying bronzers that were too warm before and me thinking, oh, it looks great on my fair skin. It's fine. It's not too warm. It's not too dark. And then like people will be like, oh, it's super orange. Like, well, whatever. Let me be a clown if I want to. Just don't buy it. All right, let's go into this guy. And I'm gonna take another sponge, but it's gonna be a dry sponge. I think I'm gonna start with 2 dots. So I will go 1 here and 1 here. Nope, let's go for 3 and then 1 here. Let's see what the finish looks like. Let's see how easy it is to apply. I'm just gonna use like the flat part of the sponge and see what we get. That's a nice little flush, isn't it? That was really easy to blend in. I honestly don't like products like this. Like, I don't like applicators usually that are like this because I don't know, I don't have like the best of luck getting them to blend in without like moving some of the product around. It's usually not my favorite way to apply it, and maybe that's just a weird little nuance that I have that just, it's just a me thing, because it doesn't annoy a lot of people with like the Rare Beauty blushes. I don't like, I don't know, I guess I don't like a doe foot applicator. I guess I don't mind this one as much because it's such a little doe foot applicator. I don't know if that makes any difference, and maybe it's all in my head, but I thought it's a really nice flush. I think it's a really good color. Even though it says a serum-like finish, I think it has a good amount of pigmentation, even for a serum-like finish, and it's not sticky. I hate a sticky serum blush. Not my thing, probably never will be. It's not that I only like matte blushes, I just prefer something that dries down. I have some blushes that are really pigmented that I actually do set, and I am not a big blush setter. I don't usually set or like to set my blush. I just want to put it on and then not be bothered. The Giorgio Armani Neo Nude, oh, favorite green blush right now, and it's just so pigmented that I usually do have to set it, because like a lot of times my freckles confuse me. Like I can't tell if it's patchy or if it's my freckles. If there are freckly people out there, you tell me, have you ever like had that? Like, is that going on right, or is that patchy? Is that a patchy spot, or is that like a cluster of freckles happening? So my thoughts on this are, the doe foot applicator is not my favorite, but if you don't mind that, I think it's actually really good. The fact that it's like a serum finish makes it look like my face is just a little bit flush, so it gives a really good, I don't know, like a finish. The finish of it is really nice. I think that it wasn't like a patchy application. I love that it's just not sticky. Like if you want to give me a serum-like blush that makes me look flushed and isn't sticky, like I'll take it all day long. So I enjoyed this. This product had me nervous. I was really concerned that it wasn't going to be a consistency that I like, and I do. I really do actually really like that. If you couldn't tell when I was applying it, this bronzer I thought was really nice too, actually. The formula was really good. I've never heard of Lower East Side, but I don't know. It's a good cream bronzer, and I'm into cream bronzers. And it's nice and like little and compact, and so it's easy to store. Okay, on to lower lash line. Let's go into the Earth one first, and I'm gonna go in with Stubborn and go all over the lower lash line. If you've never heard me say this before, because you haven't watched any of my other videos, or I just didn't bring it up in that video, I really dislike lower lash line eyeshadow for a more like everyday basis. Like I just can't, I can't see myself on a meeting putting lower lash shadow on. I just don't want to do it every single day. I like rubbing my eyes, and so I don't know, I just find that it's like more work than I really like. And I have really small eyes anyway, so I kind of feel like it's like, you know, I don't know, bye eye. I'm gonna go in with like a brown, kind of in my waterline. I know that I just said like I try not to make my eyes look smaller, but honestly it was like a pretty stark difference between like this gray or like brownish shadow on my lower lash line and then just like my stark white waterline, so I didn't like that. All right, so I just kind of added some eyeliner to the bottom. I might do the same color to the other side, and I'm gonna go back into that shade Ghosted for the lower lash line on the other side. I'm gonna try and get pretty tight to my lash line. Does anyone else feel like the lower lash just, I don't know, makes your eyes look terrible? Like you're just not fitted to do lower lash line shadow? I am gonna go in with my Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On pencil, and this one's in the shade Tiger Eye, so it has like a bit of a like metallic finish. And I'm gonna go into my waterline with this one. These ones are just so creamy and really easy to apply. Okay, that's nice. Let's move on into mascara. So the tubing mascara from Simihaze is called the Easy Lash Clean Lift Mascara. I have only seen one other YouTuber that I think has tested this mascara and said that it wasn't like the greatest. So I'm a pretty picky mascara person. Like I like a tubing mascara, but I have these like really thin lashes, and so I like something that's the reason that I like the tubing mascara is because I like that it gives me a little bit of thickness to my lashes where I don't normally have it. And while I have a lot of length, they're very thin and very light colored. And so if it's not like a super pigmented formula, it doesn't like do a whole lot. So I'm hoping that's the case with this one. This is like a matte black packaging. It says Easy Lash on there, but it's really hard to see. So otherwise it's kind of like totally indiscernible. So it's one of those plastic bristled wands, which is very normal for a tubing mascara. Let's try this. I don't know, that's not bad. I thought it was pigmented. I thought it was a pretty wet formula, so it was going on very easily. I think that it gave like, I don't know, I thought it was really nice. Like, it's making me look like I have false lashes on. It's even giving me a thickness. It's not weighing down like the curl that I gave myself. I crimped my lashes before I did this. Wow, look at it. Like, look how crazy that looks. It actually, even with this dark shadow, it looks like you can see my lashes. Am I nuts? It just, wow. Okay, so don't laugh. Don't sneeze. It transfers. It doesn't dry immediately. Let's go ahead and apply the, dropping things. Let's go ahead and apply the other eye. Okay, it's applied to the upper and lower lashes. My initial impressions of the mascara are actually really good. Like, I like that it's kind of a wetter formula because I think that it deposits like a lot of pigment, and I think that it looked really good going on. I would definitely say like I built it up 2 layers. I had like a little bit of clumping like right here in the front part of my left side of my lashes, but I always get that. Like, I can never get these lashes to like separate the way that I want to. But I thought it gave a good amount of volume and definition and length, so I was really pleased with that. We'll see how it wears. I do have one new one from Simihaze. It's the Velvet Blur Matte Lip Balm. I did try this on yesterday and it was okay. I think it's a super high price point for what it is, and I just didn't think it did anything unique. I think that like when they call it a matte balm, I feel like it was more just kind of like a satin finish lipstick. So it's 2 little stacked green marshmallows, and then it has a rounded tip on it, and it was pigmented. Like, it had a good amount of pigmentation. It's not like a balm per se. It's just like a satin finish. I did think that like having rounded it was kind of unique, but I mean, other than that, it's just a pretty high like price point for like a matte lip balm that's just like a satin finish. No liner. No need. It's very comfortable. I will give it that. It's very comfortable. Like I said, it's just a satin formula is what it feels like to me. And that was everything. I loved everything except foundation stick. It's just not my cup of tea. And even as a concealer, I just didn't think it had enough coverage. Like, even now, the 2 concealers that I used were so light, I can still see like the dark circles under my eyes. So I just don't think that it was good for either. It's just not my favorite. Like, I'll keep testing it out, but it's really the only thing that I didn't love, that I didn't fall in love with, that I just thought was okay. And that's a wrap. And my glass is empty. So it's time to go fill it, or not, I don't know. I think the look turned out really good. I liked the melt eyeshadows. I was really pleased with everything else. So I'm done. I'm done playing around. I hope you guys enjoyed playing around with me. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Fantastic, fantastic day. And I will catch you in my next video. Bye, guys.